Hey guys, and welcome back to Sci-Port. This is Today at Sci-Port. And today we're going to be looking at tree cookies. Now, we're not talking about the cookies that you go to the grocery store and buy. We're talking about slices of an actual tree, like the one behind me here, where you can actually count the rings to find out the age of the tree. But before we get to that, our materials that we're going to need for today's activity. So if you check the link down below, you'll be able to download the guide that's going to take us through the activities we're going to do today. So your guide is here. We also have our activity sheet, and you'll notice that it looks like a sample of a tree cookie. That is because it is. And then for you who may be a little bit older than 10, or maybe want to do a little bit smaller version of this, you can actually do it on a paper plate, where here we're using styrofoam, and you just need a pen or maybe even a marker. So guys, as we're looking at our tree here that is behind us, our tree cookie, you will notice that there are some dark rings on there, and there are some light rings. If you know what the dark rings and the light rings, what they mean, comment down below. So while you're thinking about what the light rings and the dark rings mean, there's a lot of other things that are on this tree that we could take a look at. Like maybe say a bug infestation, or maybe even the tree will tell you if there was a fire and maybe the tree got burned or injured. So there's a lot of things that we can tell from a tree cookie or from a sample of a tree just by looking at it. So this is a cypress tree. And so we're looking at how old the tree might actually be. And we can tell that by counting the rings. But there's two types of rings. There's a light ring and there's a dark ring. So for some of you who don't know, the light ring is pretty much going to tell us how many springtime, summertime seasons it went through. And the dark rings are going to tell us how many wintertime seasons it went through. But if you count one ring, one light ring with one dark ring, it's going to give you 1 year. So by counting all of these rings, how old is this tree? So while you're thinking about that, let's take a look at our activity sheet. And we'll notice that on our activity sheet, we've got light rings and we've got dark rings. So if we count how many dark rings, light rings and dark rings, but we're just going to focus on the dark rings here. If we count how many dark rings, that's going to tell us how old this tree is. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this tree is going to be about 10 years old. Now, you'll notice that this tree has a lot of bark on the outside, and that bark is also important for protecting the tree. But in the very, very center is what we call the heartwood. And so we're going to start counting from the inside, because trees don't grow inward, they grow outward. So this is what we're going to do with our activity sheet. We know that there's 10 rings on here, so there's 10 years. So what you want to do is count out to however many rings that something major happened in your life, and you're going to put it there. Whenever something major happened in your life, like maybe you lost a tooth, or maybe you learned to ride a bicycle, or maybe you got skipped from elementary school to middle school, whatever it is that happened in your life, that's what you're going to want to put here. And if you have smaller kids or older kids, maybe your kids are just a little bit bigger, you'll notice that we can do the same thing with the plate. So we can do our heart in the middle, and then we've got 1, 2, and then we've got our third ring there on the outside. And so you can use as many rings as you need for your life. So for you older kids who are older than 10, then if you like, you can take your own sheet of paper and you can write it on the back. So whatever year you went to Disney World or baseball camp or basketball, wherever you went, whatever you did, you can write it here on your own sheet of paper. All right, guys, so I went ahead and I've started one of these activities for you so you can see. In my life, at the age of 5 years old, is when I started school. And that was very important to me because I finally got a chance to get around other kids and learn how to interact with other people. And at the age of at the age of 9, I got my very first basketball and basketball goal. So I was able to go into the backyard and just start shooting some hoops, just like some of you guys might do. So those are two things that happened on my tree. Now, back to our stump here. How many years old do you think this tree may be? Hopefully you guys commented down below. So the answer is, this tree is about 400 years old. Do you know any people that are about 400 years old? This is what their tree would look like if they were a tree. I'm not a tree, so I don't look like that. All right, guys, so check us out next time on Today at Sci-Port.